No, look,
Back
Chopper,
to you,
thank you very, very much. Great to have that input and talk to Mark Harper there and be able to find out that actually the government is at least saying they are going to take some action. But that was not enough to stop protests that took place earlier on, and no doubt will continue raging. And I'm going to go now to Theo Chikomba, who's our national reporter, who I understand was actually at some of those protests earlier today. Theo.
Thanks, Patrick. Well, we're still here. Many of those protesters are still here as well. They've been here throughout most of the afternoon. But we do know that the last couple of weeks, the mayor has been consistent saying this decision wasn't taken lightly. It's something he feels is the right decision. The mayor's office say he's made this decision to tackle London's toxic air, one of his personal missions since taking office. And they went on to say air pollution has serious and life-limiting risks on physical and mental health and is linked to asthma, cancer, heart disease and dementia, among other conditions. Now, these are some of the things we've been raising to people who are here, and they do acknowledge them, but they're saying this money that they're going to have to pay, £12.50 a day, is like a tax added to some of the challenges they're already facing in their lives, particularly when it comes to the cost of living. But this afternoon, I'm kindly joined by Shahzad. You have a car which you're going to have to park now. Although this is the situation you find yourself in, where do we strike the balance here when we're talking about health issues, but also the financial implications it has on yourself and many others?
I think the health argument is a really difficult argument, because if you look at the data and you look at the stats, and you can accept that ULEZ has had benefit in the London area, but when you're expanding 225 square miles to 600 square miles, making this new ULEZ expansion the largest low emission zone in the world, when you go out to those areas and you find that they're positively rural, and these are areas where communities tend to be poorer, they tend to rely on their cars, and the cars tend to be older, and they cannot afford to change up to a newer car, then when you look at the balance between making lives harder for people to the perceived improvement in air pollution, you've got to say this is the wrong time to be doing this.
Now for yourself, you now have to park your car. Tell us about your car and the implication this is going to have on you.
I think it's quite tragic. So my car fits into a category that you would describe as modern classic. So when you have classic cars, technically over 40 years old, you can register them as historic, and then they are ULEZ exempt. So cars from the 80s and 90s that are often regarded as classics, they don't fit into that. My car is a 1989 BMW E30. I bought this just before this announcement came into effect, so I was particularly upset when they decided to do this, because I live just outside the North Circular right now, so obviously now I'm going to be impacted by it. I use my car fairly regularly, unlike most classic car owners, and this is the thing, the carbon footprint or the effect of running a classic car is pretty negligible. So for example, if you take a regular car, the CO2 tonnage per year, you're talking about 4.5 tons. With a classic car, it's about 600 kilograms. That's about it. I tend to use mine a little bit more than most people, so it particularly hits me hard. But I am thinking to keep the car for now and just go on the auto pay, as much as it pains me to pay the £12.50. But I think that for a lot of people, if you look at the financial implications of changing your car right now, it's actually cheaper to pay the £12.50.
And just finally, you've been following this from the very beginning. What have you seen, and have you managed to strike balance looking at all of those arguments?
Yeah, I think balance is a key thing here, and obviously I'm very pro-car and pro-motorist, but I've tried to look at the facts and the real data behind this, and I can't see any justification for it, and this is why I've sort of stood shoulder to shoulder with these protesters as well. How things have changed, I think it's suddenly got real in the parlance, the sense that today it's actually happened. And I have to be honest with you, most of these events that I've been to, they've been very fun, there's been a sort of festival atmosphere. Today I detect a little tension, and I think there's been 1 or 2 skirmishes as well. And I think that now it's going to hit them, and people are going to get fined, they're going to get hit in the pocket, businesses are going to close, people are going to lose their jobs, they can't visit the elderly are going to lose their independence. Suddenly it got real. And I don't think this is the last that we've seen of this, and I think it might actually get more intense.
Thank you so much for your time there. Well, he's just one of many who we've spoken to today, and it is that argument. You have to strike a balance when it comes to health, the money side of it as well, but also businesses. Many people arguing on various sides, and of course there's research as well, which points to the direction of various different areas. But of course, here today, people have been passionate about what they think about this expansion.